Here are the stadiums of French football's third tier, known as Championnat National, because Ligue 3 doesn't sound as good. Stade Rennais Fenouillet. We start off with what might be the most lackluster stadium in the league. Well, it's certainly one of the smallest. There's just one tiny stand. At least there's a roof, I guess. It is a small town, to be fair, so you can't expect much more. Stade Gaston Petit. That's more like it, a proper four-sided stadium. Or as the French would say, un proper, vier-sided Stade. See, I know a little bit of French, I'm just not fluent. The four stands are not entirely uniform. There's one noticeably older roof, and that is because for a while, the other three stands were left uncovered. They're now looking rather sleek. Stade Pierre Blauin. Cholet have been playing at another stadium in recent years, but this is their spiritual home, if you will. In the time they were away, this ground was renovated, so instead of being a rudimentary stadium, it's now a rudimentary stadium with a new turf field and a new roof. Stade Gaston Gerard. This stadium served as not only the home of football in Dijon, but athletics as well up until 2007, when the process of a conversion into a magnificent football-specific stadium started. That lasted for about a decade. Some remnants of the old stadium remain. This berm to the south of the stadium, and the western stand, which is noticeably different from the rest of the stadium. Stade de la Colombière. I do always appreciate a bit of hedge action, but yeah, as you can see, this is just another one of those small multi-purpose stadiums that are common in small French towns apparently. It was at least renovated a few years ago, so the basic amenities are at least in good condition. Stade Jacques Joly. Goal FC moved out of their usual home in a small village over on the other side of the hills from the city after being promoted to the Championnat National, as it had a capacity of less than 1,000. They are now much closer to the Lyon city centre. I wonder, if they continue to rise up the ranks, will they just keep moving into larger stadiums elsewhere in the city? Anyway, for now, this one certainly does the job. Stade Marie Marvingt. This is the largest stadium in the league, which is not all that surprising given that Le Mans started building the stadium whilst the club were still in the first tier. But they were relegated prior to it opening, and have since been relegated further, obviously. No matter which tier it's in, it's a great looking stadium. I'm loving the colour scheme and the triple tiered layout. Oh, I should mention that it's also the largest stadium in France that is named after a woman. Stade Saint-Exupéry. This one has a very similar design to Stade Jacques Joly, with its solitary elevated stand. This one's just a lot more monochromatic and smaller. In fact, it has the smallest capacity in the league, just 1,500. Situated right by a big lagoon is Stade Francis Turcon. Unlike the yachts across the street from the ground, this couldn't be described as opulent. It does have just the one covered stand and there's not much going on the outside. However, I think the vibrant colour scheme of the seating within certainly makes up for that. It's looking great. Stade Marcel Picot. Although there's been a ground on this site since 1926, this stadium was almost completely rebuilt in 2003. It's now an odd-looking stadium. Each stand is slightly different from the next. Some of the roofs are cantilever, some are not. But I like that. Uniformity is boring. After spending over 30 years at this quirky stadium, the club built a much smaller stadium just over the other side of the freeway, Stade des Antenons. This, however, is a temporary move, whilst the newer, bigger, better, shinier stadium is built on the side of their old one. For a temporary home, it's not too bad at all. It's probably still in the top half of this league in terms of amenities. Stade Rennais Gaillard. On the surface, this just seems like one of those boring multi-purpose stadiums again, but there are actually a few architectural anomalies. For instance, this interesting looking press box. There are also some portable stands that have been placed at the empty ends. Given that they are uncovered and a long way from the field, that's certainly not the place to be. Stade de la Source. Oddly enough, the old Orleans has Stade de la Source, and New Orleans is in the state with the source. Stade de la Source, state with the source. Stade de la Source, state de la Source, state with the source. Stade de la Source, state with the source. State with the source. State with the source. Just two of the stands are permanent and covered because once more some portable stands have been placed at the empty ends. However, these ones look a bit nicer, as does the stadium as a whole. State with the source. Stade Bauer. Firstly, I'd just like to congratulate this suburb of Paris for having 3 hyphens in its name. That's no mean feat. The stadium is one of the oldest in France, and up until recently, it looked it. However, it's undergone renovations to make it better suited to the second tier of French football. Red Star aren't currently in the second tier, of course, but they were recently and had to play elsewhere in the city. Stade Robert d'Auchan. Interestingly, the ground is situated next to one of the largest cemeteries in the country, and the late Robert d'Auchan, a footballer who co-founded the club and whom the stadium is named after, is buried there. So I guess this stadium is like an extension of his tombstone in a way. That's pretty cool. Kinda dark, but still cool. Stade Auguste Bonal. This sleek modern stadium might seem like something you've seen 107 times before, but there is at least one feature that sets it apart somewhat, and that is the wraparound roof. Not the fact that it exists, but the fact that it's held up by timber beams. Which is fitting, I guess, because it's right near the Swiss border, and Switzerland has trees. See? Stade Jean Bouin. I reckon this would have to be the French stadium that has been featured on the channel the most, due to the fact that it hosts rugby, football, and American football as of 2023. But I'm not complaining, it's one of my favourites. Mainly due to the unique concrete exterior, but the interior doesn't let it down either. I'm loving the lack of straight lines throughout. Stade Armand Chauffet. Most of the seating in this small stadium is coming from the main stand, but where it makes up for that lack of man-made structures is the extensive landscaping throughout the place. Behind the southern end in particular is basically a garden. I believe it's open to the public on non-match days. So there you have it. Stade Jean Bouin is an easy pick for favourite. That exterior is like an art installation. Please be subscribing if enjoyed video you did. Thanks for watching, have a good one.